and fresh. Quality and safety guaranteed. If you're stocking up on things you need, don't forget food you love. There's never been a better time to stock up on Omaha Steaks. The stock up sale is going on right now. Ready to ship packages. You could save 50% or more and free shipping on orders of $69 or more. Go to omahasteaks.com. Go to the search bar on their website and type Bongino for the savings. Bongino. Omaha Steaks. Don't miss out. All right. Gosh, they are delicious. See, now I'm hungry. Look what happened. Paul is laughing because I'm always hungry all the time. I eat like a slob. For those of you who know me personally and listen to the show, you know that to be true. My old boss in the Secret Service once watched me eat 2 pounds of Rudy's brisket from the Rudy's in Waco.
Whew.
2 pounds. 2. The deuce. That's right. Don White, my buddy. Watch. He said, Dan, you going to eat all that? Watch. Took me about a half an hour, but I finished the whole thing.
Yeah, good teeth, too.
You ever have Rudy's? Rudy's is the best. Love Rudy's, especially the Rudy's in Waco. We used to go in there all the time when we were out at the Bush Ranch. Okay, here's a little bit of quick comic relief. Here's Savage Trump from, yes, I don't mean that as an insult. It's a New York thing. Savage is usually, you're a savage is not an insult. It's a compliment. So for those of you wondering, here's Savage Trump yesterday at the presser. So, I always tell you, and I'm just giving you my personal experience. It's not a value judgment on who they are. My dealings with reporters, not all of them, but many, a large majority, very large, are that they're really not bright. I'm not kidding. I guess it's an insult, but it's not intended that way. I'm just giving you a value judgment. They are really not bright. They don't know a lot. What they think they know is usually wrong. When you debate them, they get angry and they'll call you a racist at the drop of a hat when they misstate facts. So, showing again my calculus here, how dopey reporters are. This guy at the presser yesterday with Trump decides to ask him a question about the price of oil and what's happening in the oil markets, but doesn't even understand the price or has no idea what the price per oil is. So Trump's like, well, I'm not going to answer that unless you know. So check this out. Here's Savage Trump. This is great.
President, can I just check in on oil again today? I was wondering.
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Well, I was wondering if you...
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
But I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do somebody else then. Go ahead.
How can you have any pudding when you can't eat your meat?
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? You! Yes, you!
Nailed him!
Of course, those of you who listen to music in the early 80s and 70s know exactly what Joe's talking about. That was my favorite album until Roger Waters lost his mind. You! Yes, you! That was... There's a little... When you think that line through, it's a little more disturbing, too. We'll leave that for a whole other show, by the way. Listener got back to me on that one a long time ago. Never quite thought about that. All right, moving on. What really happened in Wisconsin last night, as I teased in the beginning of the show, because this matters to you. Because again, folks, you are being told a story right now, not the story. And the a story you're being told, the Aesop's fable by the media, is those dastardly Republicans were at it in Wisconsin again, Joe. They made people go out and vote in the middle of a deadly viral pandemic. They could have killed them. Those Republicans are, my gosh, but except for the fact, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely none of that is actually true. So, of course, we have receipts, as we always bring receipts on the show, because we want to inform our audience, unlike the media, which are experts in disinformation campaigns. So, long story short, Wisconsin had its primary yesterday. I'll get to this Wall Street Journal story in a moment here, but the Wisconsin had its presidential primary yesterday, and they showed up to vote. And the story you're being told by the media is those evil Republicans made people show up in the middle of this pandemic, despite the fact that it was dangerous when we just could have delayed the election. And look at those evil Republicans on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They made people do it too. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be crystal clear. That is categorically false. Neither the United States Supreme Court, which ruled on it, nor the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which ruled on it, made any decision whatsoever about in-person voting. Listen to me, because this story won't make any sense for you. That is 1,000% true. Mm-hmm. There was no decision on in-person voting. In other words, for the liberals listening who are lying to themselves and to others, nobody in any court ruled yesterday that Wisconsinites had to show up to vote in the middle of a pandemic in person. Nobody. That was never ever in the court case. Well, what was in the court case? Because again, we've been told the evil Republicans made people vote in Wisconsin. They could have got people killed. Totally, completely false. Let's go to this Wall Street Journal article, which lays it out nicely. By the way, I have another piece from Andy McCarthy, who's a little mad at me right now from National Review, but that's okay. I love Andy. In the show notes today, that is definitely worth your time if you want a detailed legal analysis, too, from a professional attorney, what happened here. It's in the show notes, bongino.com/newsletter. I'll send you the articles every day. But this Wall Street Journal article lays out those stubborn things called the facts show of what actually happened. So, Wall Street Journal editorial board, Wisconsin's election confusion. Decisions to alter voting need to follow the law, even in a pandemic. The law, Democrats are like, screw the law, schmaw. We don't need any of that. So again, you've been told Wisconsin Republicans on the court told people, you better go out and vote today no matter what, even if you die. And the Democrats were trying to save you. They were. Because that's not what happened. Because actually the people who sued and caused this whole thing were the Democrats. Let's go to screenshot number 1 from the Wall Street Journal article. Wisconsin planned to mitigate the coronavirus threat with a large increase in vote by mail, so fewer people would need to leave their homes. Sounds good. But the Democrat National Committee sued to force the delay of the election outright. Oh, so wait, was a Democrat lawsuit? I thought the Republican. So the Democrats are the ones who sued. By the way, they tell you the governor of Wisconsin is a Democrat too? You might have missed that one also. I'm sorry. So in a state run by Democrats, where a Democrat lawsuit threw the election into chaos, the Republicans did this? No, Dan. It was the dastardly Republicans on the Supreme Court that ordered people to show up and vote on it. They did? That's what happened? Because that's funny. That wasn't actually in the lawsuit. Strange. Let's go on. Let's read some more about what happened. I know the facts are very disturbing for liberals. They have a tough time with that kind of stuff. So here's what actually happened. Last Thursday, a federal judge, an Obama appointee, by the way, an Obama appointee, let me say that again, an Obama appointed judge, not a Republican appointed judge, denied the extreme request, but said vote by mail needed to be extended. Keep that up for a second. The extreme request, ladies and gentlemen, was to allow voting by mail postmarked after the election. That's insane. Goes on. Instead of receiving ballots by April 7th, which was election day yesterday, he said clerks needed to count any ballots received by next Monday, April 13th. Joe, regardless if they came in before the election or not, if they were postmarked, meaning you could vote after election day, which is crazy. Now, this Obama judge, after apparently realizing this could distort the electoral process by allowing news reports of the election to influence votes after the election, Joe, the judge issues another order and bans the state election board from reporting any results before next Monday. Wait, what? Because I'm going to explain this to you in a minute. I know it gets a little complicated. The Republican National Committee asked the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. You can't vote after an election. And 5 justices agreed that the district judge, the Obama judge, was outside his authority. This is where it gets a little complicated, but don't worry, I'll explain.
Okay.
His remedy, the Obama judge's remedy, air quotes, would have fundamentally altered the nature of the election by allowing voting for 6 additional days after the election, the Supreme Court wrote. And by trying to muzzle election results, they added, the district court, in essence, enjoined non-parties to this lawsuit. What does that mean? This is important. This is critical. That's where it gets a little complicated, right?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Obama judge who rules insanely, by the way. Again, there is nothing in the ruling about you have to show up to vote in person. That's a silly, I'll play Stephen Colbert in a minute. Left-wing hack pretending to be a comedian. Gaslighting people and suggesting the Republicans did this. There is nothing it's the Democrat lawsuit. There is nothing in the lawsuit forcing people to show up to vote. Nothing. The Democrats wanted you to be able to vote after Election Day. In other words, you can get a mail-in ballot received after Election Day. It's not a problem as long as it's postmarked on Election Day or earlier. Makes sense. You had to vote before, even by mail.
Huh?
Not hard to understand, folks. We don't have perpetual voting. Oh, we'd still be voting in the 2016 election. Hey, I got my vote. It's postmarked 3 years after the election. That's good, too. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about a world of good or bad. We're talking about a world of competing harms. Of course, we want everybody to be able to vote. We shouldn't shut voting down ever. Really? So you want perpetual elections where the election's in doubt 2 years after the election? That's why we put a timeline on it. The Democrats wanted people to vote after Election Day. Think about that, folks. News reports.
Come on.
Joe, in downtown Madison, we're short 1,000 votes for the Democrat nominee. 1,000. It's after Election Day. Hey, let's go out and tell 1,000 more people to vote after Election Day.
Yeah.
Of course you can. Do you understand the chaos that would ensue? And then the Wisconsin Election Commission, who was not part and parcel of this lawsuit at all, was muzzled. This same judge with this absurd decision says, oh, well, to prevent votes after Election Day, Joe,
yes,
which is crazy enough, from being influenced by the news reports, I'm forbidding the Wisconsin Election Commission, which was not part of this lawsuit, from saying anything about the election until a week after the election. That's what they mean in that Wall Street Journal quote about their parties not joined in the lawsuit.
Okay.
They weren't even allowed in. They weren't even part and parcel of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
So the Election Commission gets ruled against despite not being part of the lawsuit at all.
Jeez.
In other words, they didn't even have the legal right to say anything in their defense because they weren't part of the lawsuit, and the judge just made them part of the lawsuit. Hey, you shut up. Don't say anything for a week.
What?
This is crazy time.
This is.
Elections after Election Day and muzzling people from giving you the results of the election to make sure that after the election's over, people voting after the election aren't influenced by the actual election. This actually, yes, this is an Obama judge who did this. And it was in response to a Democrat lawsuit. This was not, the Republicans had nothing to do with this.
Holy cow.
Republican appointed judges, yes, at the Supreme Court and the Wisconsin Supreme Court said, what are you, crazy? You can't vote after Election Day. Now, you may say, well, why didn't the Democrat governor of the state just delay the darn election? Because he's an idiot. That's why. Let's go to takeaway number 3 from the Wall Street Journal piece. The Supreme Court decision, talking about the U.S. Supreme Court, came an hour after the Wisconsin Supreme Court swatted aside Democrat Governor Tony Evers' efforts to unilaterally postpone the election. Ladies and gentlemen, at the last minute he did this. Listen to this. Through March, Democrat Mr. Evers had indicated the election should proceed and issued an executive order exempting public polling places from his mass gathering ban. So let me get this straight. Republicans did this. A Democrat governor, Tony Evers, who pushed all the way through March to keep Election Day yesterday, didn't change it. Matter of fact, even exempted polling places from his mass gatherings executive order to make sure the election happened yesterday. At the last minute, tried to change the election, which would have thrown the whole thing into chaos. When he couldn't, the Democrats sued to get people to vote by mail after the election was over, and then tried to put a muzzle on the Wisconsin Election Commission that wasn't even allowed to defend themselves in court. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, don't you worry. The Republicans did this. It's clearly our fault. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it really is stunning what people will believe.
Yeah.
Now, because a lot of liberals and some rhinos and a lot of the uninformed out there get their news from Stephen Colbert, who is a comedian. Why you're getting your news, and not even a very good one, by the way. At least Fallon's funny. Yeah. Colbert's not. He's just not funny. He was funny acting as the other guy. Didn't he have like an alter ego? I mean, when he acts as himself, it's really horrible. Listen to Colbert on his show, Gaslighting America, who now believe that the Republicans somehow did this despite it being a Democrat lawsuit with a Democrat governor ruled on by a Democrat Obama-appointed judge. Check this out.
Oh, speaking of Joe Biden, there was an election today in Wisconsin. Now, despite the fact that every other state has postponed its primary this month or moved to mail-in ballots, at the insistence of the Wisconsin Republican legislature, the Badger State went ahead with their primary. I guess it's Wisconsin's way of showing New Hampshire that you can live free and die.
Yeah. blames it on